Hello, my friends! Mr. Evan here, and I am so excited to be joining you for another edition of Storytime here at the Colorado Railroad Museum. Before we get started, I want to wish each and every one of you a wonderful, safe, and happy holiday season. Today is a very special time here at the museum because we are right in the middle of our amazing event all about the Polar Express. So today, we will be reading The Polar Express. And this amazing story is written and illustrated by Chris Van Allsburg. Let's get started. On Christmas Eve, many years ago, I lied quietly in my bed. I did not rustle the sheets. I breathed slowly and silently. I was listening for a sound a friend had told me I'd never hear. The ringing bells of Santa's sleigh. "There's no Santa," my friend had insisted, but I knew he was wrong. Late that night, I did hear sounds, though not of ringing bells from outside. But there was the sound of hissing steam and squeaking metal. I looked through my window and saw a train standing perfectly still in front of my house. It was wrapped in an apron of steam. Snowflakes fell lightly around it. A conductor stood at the open door of one of the cars. He took a large pocket watch from his vest, then looked up at my window. I put on my slippers and robe, and I tiptoed down the stairs and out the door. "All aboard!" the conductor cried out, and I ran to him. "Well," he said, "are you coming?" "Where?" I asked. "Why, to the North Pole, of course," was his answer. "This is the Polar Express." And I took his outstretched hand, and he pulled me aboard. The train was filled with other children, all in their pajamas and nightgowns. We sang Christmas carols and ate candies with nougat centers as white as snow. We drank hot cocoa as thick and rich as melted chocolate bars. Outside, the lights of towns and villages flickered in the distance as the Polar Express raced northward. Soon, there were no more lights to be seen. We traveled through cold, dark forests where lean wolves roamed and white-tailed rabbits hid from our train as it thundered through the quiet wilderness. We climbed mountains so high as if we would scrape the moon. But the Polar Express never slowed down. Faster and faster we ran along, rolling over peaks and through valleys like a car on a roller coaster. The mountains turned into hills, the hills to snow-covered plains. We crossed a barren desert of ice, the great polar ice cap. Lights appeared in the distance. They looked like the lights of a strange ocean liner sailing on the frozen sea. "There," said the conductor. "It is the North Pole." The North Pole. It was a huge city standing alone at the top of the world, filled with factories where every Christmas toy was made. At first, we saw no elves. "They are gathering at the center of the city," the conductor told us. "That is where Santa will give the first gift of Christmas." "Who receives the first gift?" we all asked. The conductor answered, "He will choose one of you." "Look!" shouted one of the children. "The elves!" Outside, we saw hundreds of elves as our train drew closer to the center of the North Pole. We slowed to a crawl, so crowded were the streets with Santa's helpers. When the Polar Express could go no farther, we stopped and the conductor led us outside. We pressed through the crowd to the edge of the large open circle in front of us, and there stood Santa's sleigh. The reindeer were excited. They pranced and paced, ringing the silver sleigh bells that hung from the harnesses. It was a magical, magical sound, like nothing I'd ever heard. Across the circle, the elves moved apart, and Santa Claus appeared. The elves cheered wildly. He marched over to us and pointed to me and said, "Let's have this fellow here." He jumped into his sleigh, and the conductor handed me up. I sat on Santa's knee, and he asked, "Now, what would you like for Christmas?" I knew that I could have any gift that I could imagine. But the thing I wanted most for Christmas was not inside of Santa's giant bag. What I wanted more than anything was one silver bell from Santa's sleigh. When I asked Santa, he smiled. Then he gave me a hug and told an elf to cut a bell from the reindeer's harness. The elf tossed it up to Santa, and he stood holding the bell high above him and called out, "The first gift of Christmas!" A clock struck midnight as the elves roared their approval. Santa handed the bell to me, and I put it in my bathrobe. The conductor helped me down from the sleigh. Santa shouted out the reindeers' names, and he cracked his whip. His team charged forward and climbed into the air. Santa circled once above us, then disappeared into the cold, dark polar sky. As soon as we were back in sight of the Polar Express, the other children asked to see the bell. I reached into my pocket, but the only thing I felt was a hole. I had lost the silver bell from Santa Claus's sleigh. "Let's hurry outside and look for it," one of the children said. But the train gave a sudden lurch and started moving. We were on our way home. It broke my heart to lose the bell. When the train finally reached my house, I sadly left the other children. I stood at my doorway and waved goodbye. The conductor said something from the moving train, but I couldn't hear him. "What?" I yelled out. He cupped his hands around his mouth. "Merry Christmas!" he shouted. The Polar Express let out a loud blast from its whistle and sped away. On Christmas morning, my little sister Sarah and I opened our presents. When it looked as if everything had been unwrapped, Sarah found one last small box behind the tree. It had my name on it, and inside of it was the silver bell. And there was a note. "Found this on the seat of my sleigh. Fix that hole in your pocket. Signed, Mr. C." I shook the bell. It made the most beautiful sound my sister and I had ever heard. But my mother said, "Oh, that's too bad." "Yes," said my father, "it's broken." When I'd shaken the bell, my parents had not heard a sound. At one time, most of my friends could hear the bell, but as years passed, it fell silent for all of them. Even Sarah found one Christmas that she could no longer hear its sweet sound. Though I've grown old, the bell still rings for me as it does for all who truly believe. The end. Thank you, my friends, for joining me for another edition of Storytime here at the Colorado Railroad Museum. Now we go and join my friend Ronnie for an amazing craft. We'll see you next time.
Hi everyone, it's Ronnie here back at the Colorado Railroad Museum, and I'm so excited to see you today. We are going to be doing one of my favorite stories that you have already read is The Polar Express. And that's what our craft has to do with today. There's only one thing you can't do, and you cannot get on the Polar Express without your golden ticket. So that's what we're going to make. We're going to make our golden ticket. These are some of the things you're going to need to do. You need to get a piece of paper. Again, I have yellow or gold paper here, but if you don't have it, you can get white paper and color or paint it yellow or gold, and then you'll be all set. Next thing you're going to probably need is a pencil. The reason why I'm probably going to use a pencil is so that if I can't see the lines after I fold the paper, write on them, and so it'll be easier for me to cut them out. Next thing we're going to need are some markers to help decorate our tickets. And finally, our scissors to cut the tickets out. The fun part is when you get to decorate. And I have a lot of fun little stickers that I had left over from last year, so maybe you have glitter or stickers from last year that you can help decorate. I have some trees, and I have some like holiday bulbs. So I'm going to change the shape a little bit to get what I want out of them. Okay, let's get started. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to tri-fold a piece of paper. So I'm going to make it looks like a tube. And then I'm going to press down so that all the rectangles will be the same size. And then to make sure that it's going to stay, I'm going to do the same thing except on the other side so that I can see the lines a little bit better. So you should have 3 rectangles. Then, what you want to do to make 6 tickets is you're going to fold it long ways in half. Push down hard. And then again, do it on the other side so you can see it even better. Okay. Now, I sometimes have trouble seeing. Maybe you'll have trouble seeing on camera, but I am going to get my pencil and go over the lines a little bit so I can make better cuts. Okay, that's a little bit better, right? Okay. Now, as we always talk about, if you're little, you might need a little help cutting. If you're older, you can go ahead and do this. You can cut all the way down. This is a quick, easy way. All the way down till you get to the end. And then the other ones are short. So you're just going to go right across. Hard to get that just right. I know you are all probably very excited for Christmas to be here. Again, to get together with families, to open presents, to have all kinds of fun making cookies, or even wrapping gifts. So now we have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 golden tickets for the train. I might do 2, but right now, what I need to do is put on there the Polar Express. Now, if you're learning how to write, you can do it yourself, or maybe mommies and daddies can write it in pencil and then you can trace it. There's different ways you can do it. But I'm going to go ahead and write I'm trying to do it fancy, but I'm not very good at it. Polar Express. And at the bottom here, I might put something like round trip, because you're not going to go to the North Pole and stay there. You're going to go there and then you're going to come back. So we're going to put round trip. So that you might maybe do it that way. Or you could write smaller. You can go the Polar Express. And then again, round trip. And since this probably looks more like a ticket, I'm probably going to use that one. Now bring out your other markers, and then you can decorate. Maybe you want to put fancy things around the ticket like that. You could also put some glue and glitter to make it look nicer. What I'm going to do is with one of these ornaments is make little circles. Cut a little circle out. There's one. Make another one. So I can make some hollies and berries. And then I'm going to take a Christmas tree and I'm going to cut it in half. I know, it sounds weird, but I think it's going to work. Okay, so I'm going to take mine off here. Like that. Oops, wrong way. No. Okay, and then you could take the berries and you could put them on there. No, I think this is upside down. No, that's okay. So you can make one ticket that looks something like that. You can take another ticket. I like the way the whole Polar Express is on one line. The Polar Express round trip. And I had one. Maybe you could put an ornament. Maybe you could put a tree on there. Stickers are a lot of fun. It makes it a lot easier to decorate. If you have a bell, that would be a lot of fun to put a bell in, because Santa gives children the bells on Christmas. Again, make it look like a ticket. You can have a lot of fun doing different kinds of designs on your tickets. Then after you have all your tickets, maybe you and your family can get together and you can set up a train, and somebody could be a conductor, somebody could be a chef, somebody could be the engineer, it could be the children, and you can play out the Polar Express. I sure hope you have a wonderful holiday, and I look forward to seeing you next year. Thank you. Bye.
Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Commenting and sharing in particular may qualify as virtual engagements for important funding programs like the SCFD.